Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are a subscriber. I appreciate you. So I'm working on spaghetti sauce. As you know, when you plant those little seeds in the beginning of the spring, this is what you see in your imagination. The tomatoes are coming on strong, and I can tell we're going to have a really long season. We're experiencing, like much of the world right now, a crazy heat wave, so it has been challenging to keep everything watered and keeping it from getting sun scorched. But I will save those handy tips for another video. I'm working on spaghetti sauce. I just finished canning 24 jars of salsa. And there's something about, if you've ever grown a tomato, it always amazes me how many people tell me they don't like tomatoes. And it's sad because, especially in America, they've never actually had a real tomato. And what is a real tomato? I describe a real tomato as a homegrown tomato that is fresh off the vine. It's an heirloom tomato that doesn't have that, 1/8-inch thick skin that feels like you're eating from the grocery store, that feels like you're eating something that's been manufactured in a factory, that has to be picked really early so the sugars don't get a chance to build up in the fruit, so it's semi-tasteless and mealy. I mean, they're better than nothing in the middle of the winter, and they have some pretty good vine tomatoes out there now that they grow in hot houses, but it's just not the same as a homegrown tomato. The flavor, the texture. So if you like tomatoes, you may have never had a real tomato before. And tomatoes, these orange ones and these yellow ones, are very low acid for the people who don't think they can eat tomatoes because of acidity. This is an ox heart, a pink ox heart, so sweet and so good for canning. All your pink tomatoes are great salad tomatoes because they're sweet. This is a new tomato I tried this year called a red lava. You can kind of see the yellow stipling on it. It's a really great sauce tomato. It's like aroma, very dense, and the flavor's incredible. Sorry it's so dark in here, but it hit 106, 108 here yesterday, which is not normal for Northern California. And so I've got the house all closed up because we do not have air conditioning. So I'm trying to conserve the cool that I brought in from last night. So when you work with anything in regards to cooking, I always multitask. And I'm working on spaghetti sauce today. This was worth the investment. A real sauce kettle, $60 from Amazon. I love it. I can fill this all the way to the top, and it cranks out somewhere between 20 and 24 pints of whatever sauce you're making. So I've got I do a puree form. For me, it's just a lot easier than removing all the skins. I also think the skins have most of the nutrition, so why would you want to remove the best part of the tomato? And I'm a Vitamix fan. I love my Vitamix. Originally, my spouse, for years, tried to buy one, and I said it's an overpriced blender. It is far from an overpriced blender. I can grind spices in this. I can make purees in this. I can make soup in this. Everything they show you in the demonstration is true. I am in love with my Vitamix, and I probably use it 6 days a week or more. That being said, I want to show you what I'm doing here. As I'm making my spaghetti sauce, as I'm cutting my tomatoes, I'm also banking my seeds. Banking my seeds, you ask? Banking my seeds mean my heirlooms, which some I've had going since they were given to me 20 years ago. I don't buy seeds every year. I save seeds. This way I can share seeds, I can trade seeds, and I have that peace of mind that if anything ever happens, I have my own source. And it saves money too. And it's so simple. First, you want to make sure that your cutting board has any other seeds from the tomato before cleared from it. Then you just give your tomato a little... Now, these are green cherry tomatoes. They're not easy to find, but if I could only grow one tomato, it would be these. Now, people overcomplicate the seed banking process, and I'm just here to tell you, the acidity in the tomatoes goes a long way. So don't feel like you have to. Some people put the seeds in water and wait for it to float to the top for a couple days and then meticulously clean and dry each one. Forget about it. I don't have time for that. I literally just smash my seeds onto a tablecloth. I mean, not tablecloth, paper towel. They're actually fairly sterile, the paper towels. And I try to do a couple different tomatoes if you can, and you want to pick your strongest tomatoes, you know. These green cherries, by the way, the flavor is outstanding. The only thing is learning when they're ripe. I gave one to a neighbor, and I told her the whole story. I'm like, okay, you have to know when these are ripe, but you'll understand what I'm saying once it happens to you. Sure enough, a bunch of them fell on the ground and rotted because she was waiting for them to change colors. Now she understands when to pick her green cherry tomatoes. They're almost smoky, almost savory. So I've got my seeds on my paper towel. You're going to ask, how many seeds? You don't want piles and piles because you are going to have to pick them off of here once they dry eventually. So just kind of disperse them a little bit. And then after you get your seeds on your towel, you want to put it on the windowsill where it can dry thoroughly. And I mean dry thoroughly. It doesn't need sun so much, but it does need to dry thoroughly. And if you don't dry them thoroughly, the problem you're going to have is they're all going to mold. But after they dry thoroughly, you can tell I've marked them, and it's important that you use a permanent marker, because if any moisture gets in here using a non-permanent marker, all of your names and labels are just going to smear, and you're going to have all your seeds mixed up. Permanent marker from the dollar store. It's the cheapest place to get one. Once it's thoroughly dry, I simply fold it up and I cram it in a Ziploc bag with a bunch of other tomato seeds, and I mark the bag whatever year I'm banking the seeds. And that's it. Banking seeds is as simple as that. And you can pretty much do that with any seed, that process. You just, again, want to make sure that you really allowed the seeds to dry thoroughly. If you rush that process and they mold inside of the bag, it will ruin all the seeds. With seeds that, like peppers or other things like that, that aren't going to have the pulp and stick to the paper, when you fold the paper towel in quarters afterwards, you can almost make an envelope out of it, tie it with a rubber band, and then write the name of whatever seed it was on the outside before putting it in your Ziploc bag. You can also add a silica packet inside of your Ziploc bag. This kind of gives you that double protection that the seeds are going to stay dry. And then you want to put those seeds in a cool, dark place. A cool, dark place. And you will have your seeds, and they are so strong. I literally germinated seeds that were over a decade old this year that I had stored this way. So there you go, kids. That's how you bank your seeds while you're making your sauce. I'm just one of those people that has to multitask. I'm a busy man, lots to do, places to go, people to meet. Thank you for watching my video. I usually keep these short so I don't take up too much of your time and I don't take up too much of my time. If you like my quick money-saving tips, garden wisdom, occasional political rants and raves, art, and magic, please subscribe, it helps. And I'm telling you, grow something. Learn to grow and teach your kids how to grow. It's going to be, I believe, a matter of survival or thrival in the future, not too distant future. Bye for now.